got to figure out how am I sharing my picture. How am I sharing my picture, ladies? I don't understand. Ladies, I don't understand how this is happening. But a better looking picture of me is actually up there against a very beautiful young lady, Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. It is a tremendous joy to have her with us tonight. Happy belated Thanksgiving. Did I get a turkey wing? Anything? Just
Well, we were going to, but then the cat got it. No. Yeah, you're off to the side. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I know.
see you, but
I
you're
don't know how that happened. Apparently, and you know what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna be technologically savant. I'm just going to do it this way for the time being, and then we're going to fix it as we go along. But Janice, what a great joy to have you with us tonight. Um, you are going to be a leader of the world. I can tell that because of the stories that you pick for our discussions. And you are uniquely concerned about this guy in France. What's his name? Macron? Macron? Something like
Macron.
that. You know, he's only one eye away from being a good meal.
Hmm.
Oh, that was a dad joke. Thank you very much. That was a dad joke. If you got to explain it, it's not funny. Anyway. uh, but would you please explain to the American people what Macron is doing when it comes to ski lifts in Switzerland and all that other stuff?
Yes, so have some interesting things to talk about this evening. Okay, so let's start with skiing because I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I am a huge skier. Love skiing. It's my favorite sport. I definitely have not done any this season yet, but
Mm-hmm.
it is going to happen. All right, even if I have to hike up the mountain myself. All right,
You have to get Gavin Newsom's
and
permission though, because that
right,
requires breathing.
no, Gavin Newsom will not come between me and skiing. That's not possible. So okay, so basically what's going on is Switzerland has decided to open up their ski resorts, and the rest of the Europe is going, hang on a second, I thought we're all going to be closed, but you're open. That's just not fair. And Switzerland's like, yeah.
Uh, so are you accusing Macron of being shady? Is that what you're basically stating here? Is that he's slightly shady on this issue?
Well, I mean, he's shady for a lot of reasons. I think the skiing story is just more about countries are going to look out for themselves. And
Hmm.
Switzerland is really good at that. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. And I'm glad that they're opening.
Yeah, I concur with you. Uh, I thank God that some people got some good sense. You know, how much does it cost to actually go skiing at one of those courses? Just for a day or so. How much is that normally?
It's a lot of money. It's
It,
a
it,
lot of money.
yeah. So,
So,
quite
yeah.
frankly, Switzerland's not so stupid as to think that our economy can just endure a winter with no skiers, right?
Right.
So,
Right. And I mean, skiing is really big there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they have a lot of mountains. They have a lot of good mountains. They have a lot of skiing. They have a lot of good skiers. And I mean, it's something that they need.
yeah. And I'm just saying, Germany, come on, think about it.
Hmm.
If Switzerland opens, you should open, and if Macron is watching them open, he says he's going to have to open. I mean, why doesn't all of Europe just open? It just makes sense, right?
It does make sense. It does.
See, and you're doing
Hmm.
this not because it is one of your favorite sporting events, one of your great personal charms. It is not because of that. You are uniquely concerned about constitutional rights and also the individual's rights to economic security, right? Those are the reasons, right?
Absolutely. It has nothing to do with the fact that I see this anything regarding skiing and I have to read it. It's not that at all.
I can imagine you're going to the links, going up on the skis, probably this weekend. Put the imaginary snow down. We'll make it work. I I,
Yes.
I wanted to talk with you tonight also about the whole idea of Latin America, and there was a UN report that came out that basically said that 50% of private investment in Latin America will cease in year 2021. And when I read that, I was taken aback. I'm thinking to myself, that's not a tiny little 1% or 5%. They said over half of the private investment in Latin America will cease. Uh, what were your insights from that particular story?
Well, I mean, I think that we are going to see a huge drop off, I think, in the economy throughout the world. And this is, I mean, it's not just going to be Latin America. I think that, I mean, Europe, obviously, as we're talking about, it's not just about skiing. They're going to, I mean, everybody's going to be having problems, apparently, except the Chinese, because they realize that this virus isn't apparently as terrible as everybody else thinks it is. And, or they are not going to shut down their economy over it at any rate. Um, so no, and this is, I think, one of the things that people seem to be forgetting when we talk about keeping all of these lockdowns in place is that
Yeah,
the economy, and when I say economy, I don't exactly mean the just people making money,
yeah,
right? Because I mean that does sound kind of harsh, right? Oh, we have to keep things open and people have to die because of money. But it's not really about that. It's essentially about having the ability to provide for yourself.
hmm,
And essentially, in this day and age, that's how we do it.
yeah,
And we're basically telling people, guess what? You can't go and fish for yourself, basically. You can't hunt for yourself. You can't gather for yourself. You can't farm for yourself. Okay? You have to stop doing all of those things that essentially provide you with the means of survival. And that is going to have significant consequences. And I mean, obviously, we're already seeing some of it now, but I think that we're going to see a lot more, and it's probably going to be a lot worse. And
hmm,
and especially around the rest of the world. And it's, I think, one of those cases where the the less economically independent you are, the harder you're going to be hurt.
wow,
So are the lockdowns really affecting the 1% in the US or around the world? No, not really. Doesn't
yeah,
really matter to them. Is it affecting the middle class? Yes. Is it affecting the, you know, the lower class?
yeah.
Yes, and even more dramatically than anybody else.
You know, there was a story. This is offhand here. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It may, but it really doesn't. NBC News did a story earlier this week about the fact that black and Hispanic and poor kids have been the hardest hit academically because of the lockdowns. Literally, they're scoring much, much lower in math and reading. And I don't hear the people on the left, you know, feeling the need to march on the streets because their children are becoming more and more educationally ignorant. Um, but that ignorance, while it may be small for some of us here in the U.S., where we're one of the top places in the world to study, in other places around the world, a lockdown is quite severe in terms of catching up with the rest of the world. You literally are deeming those individuals to poverty for another generation. Am I right about that?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think that the kind of the the less ability, the less money you have, basically, the less you're able to sort of deal with bumps along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And while, this may just be a hiccup or a blip for people in the US, and I mean, it's probably going to be a pretty big one, but overall, I think that we'll eventually get through it. We may not get through Biden presidency, but coronavirus, yes. Um, okay.
You know he kicked his dog. That's how he actually broke his leg. I'm just joking. It's just.
Uh, hopefully not. Um, but it, for the rest of the world, when you, and I mean, it's not even just the rest of the world. It's anybody who doesn't have the means of, you know, saving for a rainy day, or just, being prepared and able to deal with things, unexpected things that come up. Yeah, it has an exponential effect on everything. It's sort of like if you get behind in debt and then you take out more debt to cover that, and it just sort of balloons, and next thing you know, you're in a huge hole. And I mean, I think that's essentially what we're looking at here.
Exactly. They've been talking about sustainable development, but how sustainable can you be when you started off poor and they made you even poor with
Right.
lockdowns? It's just, oh my God. I think that I've never addressed this with anybody, so I might as well start with you, Janice, because I love you so much. There is a moral problem with this. Do you see what I'm saying? That there is something morally wrong when you tell a man that he can't earn his wages, he must sit at home and not make any money for his family and watch his family, you know, virtually degrade right before his eyes. Uh, it's just morally incomprehensible. Your thoughts in that regard?
Well, I totally agree, and I'll add to that the government doesn't have any right to do that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that this is, I think, one of the fundamental differences between a lot of conservatives and the left, is that we believe that there are just certain rights that the government can't take away, right? That the government
Mm-hmm.
actually doesn't have any authority over at all, right?
Yep.
And I mean, among them is freedom of speech, um, and life. And the government does not have. I mean, not only, they just don't have the ability to do that. We can ultimately say, everybody can ultimately say exactly what they want to say. Now, there may be consequences, and the government and governments around the world may not, you know, let you do that, or at least they may punish you for doing something. But
Mm-hmm.
there's pretty much nothing that they can't ever stop you from saying anything. And I mean, that's, I think, the same thing when it comes to survival and providing for yourself and for your family, and for your friends, and in your group, essentially.
Yeah.
That is a it's it that's a set. I mean, that is basically living thing on the planet and probably beyond the planet, if there's anything else living out there, has that responsibility and that duty and essentially say, okay, no, the thing that all living things do, you can't do that, you can't survive. To me, I mean, not even just to me, I mean, that's just absurd.
Yeah, and we'll move on to the next topic, but it just seems so fundamentally clear to me that the government doesn't have the right, first and foremost, simply because the government takes or lives off the small portion of money that it takes from my wages. And if I don't work, that means the government can't work either. Where are you going to get the money from? But secondly, the whole God thing in all of this, and yeah, I mentioned God, everybody. The first thing that God created for Adam after he got into paradise was a job. Get a job and work.
Pretty much, yeah.
And government is telling everybody, get off your jobs, don't work. And let's see how this works. It's just so immoral, in my opinion. I want to talk with you about Africa. I got a great passion for Africa. Um, but recently, with the crashing of the European Union virtually, the African nations have turned to their ideologues for guidance, and they have decided to go in the direction of Marxism rather than capitalism. And just recently, there was an article that was about the African nations, and it was in G0, and that they are now reaching out to Vladimir Putin for support. What type of support could Putin possibly provide to anybody when he barely can survive off the oil energy he has?
Well, he can provide weapons.
Mm.
He can provide uh, leverage, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
and or organizational. If you need to organize your mafia, you can provide that as well. Um,
Yeah,
and
it's so true. It's
so
funny, but it's so true.
it is true. It is true. So I'm going to tell you what I think about this situation, and that is that while I would prefer for the US to be involved in Africa and to be essentially extolling the virtues of capitalism and the free market and individual liberties and freedom,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Love that. However, if we're not going to be doing that, I am glad that somebody else is getting in there and competing for Africa against China.
yeah. I can see
And
that.
for years, for probably, a couple decades now, China has been really made a huge push into Africa and has really wanted to kind of secure them and their resources under their domain. And I am very happy to see that there might actually be some competition there now. And do I like either one of those players? Not particularly,
Mm-hmm.
but the mere fact that there's competition, I think, is good.
I agree with you in that regard. I would love for the U.S. to go in. One of the biggest problems with that is those nations seems to match so well with China and with Russia because of their ideologies. The Pan Africanism has always taken Africa in the most drastically depressive economic scenarios and situations where they literally are prostitutes selling themselves to the world. And China has basically been the John all these particular years. I guess it's good to have another John in the neighborhood. Competition is good.
I mean, it's not ideal, but it's better than having no options at all.
Exactly. And, it would be a good thing to stop China from taking all the ports in Africa because they're doing a good job of that. They're working real hard on that. I,
Yes.
I
And
want
I
to add,
can, and I'll add one other thing, and
yeah.
I can dream that maybe Russia and China will realize that they're not actually the friends that they think they are.
Wouldn't it be great if Africa worked out some way to get over on both of them? I'm doubting it that they ever
That
could.
would be awesome.
That, but if they could only realize what they really got there. Uh, there's a story out of Puerto Rico, and I know that they are a territory of the United States of America. So for all of you all who will be writing me letters saying, "Why are you asking Janis about Puerto Rico?" This is an international story. Apparently, the Arecibo Observatory collapsed, literally collapsed on itself. Uh, and I wanted to get your thoughts regarding that. Uh, is that an embarrassment, uh, first to our nation, secondly to Puerto Rico? Or is that just the way that stuff has been done in the third world? I don't know. Your thoughts?
I'm going to go with all of the above. Um, so I think that, yes, it's an example of how things go in I'll say the third world. Puerto Rico's not exactly the third world, but
Yeah.
sort of is. Um, and is it an embarrassment? Yes, to some degree, to both Puerto Rico and us. And I think that it we have to take care of the things that we create, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't do that, they collapse. Sometimes literally, in this case, literally. Um, and and I think what's you know what's even more important is that, yeah, we need to be taking care of of ourselves. We need to be taking care of Puerto Rico, and and yeah.
Yeah. Also the gap that you speak of, um, that people don't want to talk about because they think that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are going to take up the slack, is our space technology, in that we currently are in a race against China and against Russia, um, to get to Mars and to do some other outlandish things with our satellite technology and stuff like that. Also, our space force. So we need the observatory in Puerto Rico. We need that to actually be in a great capacity. So if you were looking forward to President Trump or President Biden to deal with this space age issue and technology of the observatory, who would you count on more so in terms of fixing it, and why do you say so?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess I would probably say Trump, and the reason I would say him is because he actually has done things like creating Space Force, which I know is still kind of funny, Space Force. Even though it's perfectly named, right? Perfectly named, it's just still kind of funny. And he has done more for for space than, well, I'll say than Biden, but really what I mean to say is than Obama or Bush. And I think that, I mean, I'm pretty libertarian. I don't like the government spending money, especially on useless things. However, I think that there is some science and technology that are completely worthwhile spending um,
Mm-hmm.
public funds on. And I do think that space is one of them. Do I think we should be spending exorbitant amounts of money? Well, maybe not. And I definitely think that we should be encouraging the private sector to do a lot too. But I was disappointed when we kind of retired the space program and we had to send astronauts to the International Space Station through Russia. I mean, if you want to talk about something that's embarrassing, that's
Yeah,
pretty embarrassing.
that is
So,
freaking embarrassing.
right. So I think that, yes, I mean, I definitely think that we need to be a lot better and need to focus on space more than we have been. And I think Trump would do a better job of it than Biden.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, ladies and gentlemen. Janis Hall with us tonight. I got to end with. Am I running? I ran out of time. Oh my God! Did I run out? I ran out of time. Janice, can you believe it? I ran out of time. Oh my goodness! Am I getting old or
Hey, time
what?
flies when you're having fun, you know.
Exactly. I'm getting old with this. Why? It's like, are
But
you
you
sure?
made it. You made it into the proper screen. You're in the right place where you should be.
You know you're gonna get quality points from Mrs. Biggs on that joke right there. Janice, we love you. Thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to you coming back next week with more of the best in urban conservative talk, news, and movies, dealing with foreign policy. And I wanted to talk with you about that mother in Sweden who locked up her kid for 28 years. I wanted.
Oh,
That is so disgusting. That is really disgusting. Next week we'll talk about that one. That is a really
okay.
disgusting story. God bless
Okay.
you. Ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen, we ran out of time, but I need to tell you this. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we will be playing for you the speech of Donald Trump to the American people about election fraud. And it is a slap in the face for William Barr, the FBI, the DOJ, CIA, and he proves this case. I'm looking forward to a win in the Supreme Court. You can consider him president for the next 4 years. There won't be a 2024 race. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have enjoyed this particular evening. I've had a great, great conversation with you. And you all have had a great conversation with me in that chat room. Dave Milner, the Unpleasant Blind Guy. You can see him tomorrow at 3:30 on Blog Talk Radio with Jeff Mitchell in the English Defense League. And also, he will be on the air with me tomorrow night at 10:20 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't know, Mary. I don't know if we're going to have the surrogate for Joe Biden, Mr. Michael Brown. I haven't heard from him. He may be working in China now, working out those deals with Hunter Biden. So we'll figure that all out. But if he doesn't come, I'll make sure that we have a great guest and coverage. We may actually get Jane Ruby to come back and talk about the election update. We'll figure that all out. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all. Love you dearly. Mrs. Biggs, thank you. Love you. Mary Brockman, thank you. Love you dearly. Thank you. Miss Intern, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. Janice Hall, there we go. Okay, we got everybody. Did I get everybody? Good. So I don't want you to forget this right behind me. God bless America. It is now time for America to bless God. Good night. God bless you all. We will see you tomorrow night with more of the best in urban conservative talk. And make certain, ladies and gentlemen, that you come back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. because we are going to play the speech. We're going to make certain that each and every one of you has the opportunity to take that speech with you and share it with the world because Donald Trump did an excellent job defending himself. We leave you, ladies and gentlemen, with one of the most enriching and invigorating speeches I've heard all day.
Is going to do what we say tonight. And might I add, I was a U.S. Taxpayer Party of Michigan candidate at that time, sir. I observed stations where election workers were working on scanned ballots that had issues that needed to be manually corrected. I believe some of these workers were changing votes that had been cast for Donald Trump other than Republican candidates. I observed ballots with cursive writing notes at the top right-hand corner. I observed a lot of them. Let's say count maybe about 100 of them or more. I also observed these ballots did not have ballot codes on them. The one, you tear at the top, no ballot code numbers. At approximately 4:03 a.m., a poll worker announced 50 boxes of ballots coming in. Election workers loudly cheered, woo! Why? Did they know that they were for Biden? Was it a Biden dump? We don't know, huh? About 4:50 a.m., I witnessed a man spraying a chemical inside the ballot. It could have been air, but I also saw him put whiteout tape up inside of there, and he was walking around with this whiteout tape during the whole night. I have witnesses. If you need to call on them, their name is Cheryl Constantino, Linda Sawyer, Judy Jump, Debbie Swaff, and Marlene Benser, including myself, Artesia Bomber. I can't get all into this because I probably got a few more seconds, but let me tell you, it was voter fraud at its finest, pure and calculated fraud. And I wouldn't be surprised if people up here was involved. But this young man right here, Senator McDaniel, Donald, I got to give you kudos. I see you're interested in this. And Senator Thies, I have to give you kudos because I see you're really paying attention. I wish Senator Lucido was here because I say he's paying attention. And now I think you will pay attention. And I plead the blood of Jesus over this fraud. And that everybody that was part of it and know about it will be convicted in their soul and their spirit. They won't sleep. They won't eat until they come right. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you.